Welcome to the Daily Word, verse by verse. Grab your Bibles and follow along as we continue in our study through the Gospel of John. Keep in mind, I'm using the Holman Christian Standard Bible. So if you're using a different translation, the read is different, but the message is the same. All right, we're going to pick it up in verse 17 in chapter 3. Now, Jesus has been in this discourse with Nicodemus. And keep in mind, this is a conversation. Nicodemus came to Jesus at night. He said, "No, we know that you are we know that you are sent from God as a teacher." Jesus replies to him that you must be born again. Nicodemus is like, how can a man be born when he is old? And so they've been going back and forth. But in this discourse, there can be no greater ideology difference. Nicodemus is a man of the law. He is a man that has devoted his entire life to keeping the law. He's an expert in the law. But I also will say that he's a hypocrite, in which most people are hypocrites, and he's being confronted by that hypocrisy because you are keeping the law knowing you have not honestly kept the law. And Jesus has been exposing him on that. But in doing that, Jesus has been revealing some awesome revelation. One, that you must be born again, and that this born again experience is life in him. It is a relationship that we are born into the family of God apart from keeping the deeds of the law. So we have this life, and this life is based upon, and we covered this in verse 16 last time, the fact that God loved us, loved the world in this way, that he valued the world in this way, that he gave the very best gift that he possibly can give. He could not give a better gift. He could not create a better creation or solution other than giving of his son. Jesus is the absolute best gift. I may say that Jesus was the only gift that he could have given. Now, verse 17, he says, "For God did not send his son into the world that he might condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him." This is the purpose. This is the express revelation. He didn't reveal a holy living, a salvation with good deeds. He's talking to a man, dispelling that, remember. He's talking to an expert of the law who's devoted his life to the doing of this, which means it's a dead-end road. Dead end. So he said, God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved to him. This is what God is speaking in the world. This is what God is saying to the world. Verse 18. Anyone who believes in him is not condemned, but anyone who does not believe is already condemned because he has not believed in the name of the only and one Son of God. So why is he condemned? Why is a person condemned? And by the way, this is the only method. This is the only reason why people go to hell. This is the only reason why people are condemned is because they do not believe. They refuse to believe. Why? Because he says, this is what God has come, this is what he sent Jesus into the world to do. To what? Save the world. Why isn't the world being saved? Because they're not believing. And like I say, so the only reason why people are going to hell today is because they refuse to accept and believe God's prescribed salvation through his son. Something else, verse 19. This then is the judgment, that light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than the light because their deeds were evil. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. Verse 24, Everyone who practices wicked things hate the light and avoids it, so that his deeds may not be exposed. But anyone who lives by the truth comes to the light, so that his works may be shown to be accomplished by God. Now, keep in mind, he's talking to a most holy man, a most revered man, an expert in the law. And he just exposed his true motives. Nicodemus, this is why you're going to be judged. This is why you're going to fall into condemnation. Because you love your darkness more than light. But wait a minute. Here's a man who keeps the law. This man goes to all of the festivals. Man, he goes to church. I'm going to expand this. He goes to church every Sunday. He gives, he tithes, etc., etc., etc. But he loved this darkness. And when you peel away all of what this covering, this exterior, so-called righteous acts, you get down to the nitty-gritty, you find that the only reason why people do not accept Jesus is because they love their darkness. People say, I'm mad at God, I hate God because God doesn't heal people. He didn't heal my loved one. My loved one died, so now I'm walking away from God. Well, think about this. Your loved one is still dead, isn't they? But that's not even that. If you peel that all away, if you peel everything, all of this stuff, you find this is what Jesus is saying right here. You love darkness rather than light. That's the whole thing of man. Has nothing to do with how they were wounded, how God disappointed them. They love their, or even there are people that say, well, I find that Christianity doesn't have the answers. That's not it. You love your darkness. And he's exposing this to Nicodemus, that Nicodemus, you love your darkness. This conflict that's raging in you. Because, by the way, everything that you see in terms of the Pharisees, right? They're hypocrites. They're doing good deeds. Watch this. They're doing good deeds. They're going to conspire with one of Jesus' disciples and pay him 30 pieces of silver to portray this innocent man that they know is innocent. And then when Judas had an attack of conscience and he says, we betrayed innocent blood, the Pharisees said, hey, you see to that. And then what they do is Judas throws the 30 pieces of silver down and he goes to hang himself. The hypocrites say, this is what they say, and they actually do this. They go, well, the law says we can't use this money, right? We can't use this money. The law says we can't use this money because it's the money of blood. The money that they framed the innocent man. That's how demented they were. See? As if God was saying to them, right? Oh, you killed an innocent man, my son, but keeping the law in reference to the pieces of silver, that's okay. That's how demented they were. But notice, all of this, Jesus is saying they love darkness more than light. That's the thing. And by the way, we're going to see this as a constant throughout the New Testament and throughout the Bible itself. This hardness of sin, that the reason why people refuse to believe, refuse to submit to God, is that hardness of sin in their heart. They love darkness more than light. Now, it's interesting that Jesus leaves it off. John breaks off the conversation, the discourse at this point. We don't know, what Nicodemus was thinking or how he responded. We will come back to Nicodemus further in this book. We know that over a period of time, his heart softens and he comes to faith. We will see that. But right now, he just sort of, John just breaks it off. And he leaves him with this. This is what you need to consider. Make no mistake, Nicodemus, that the only reason why you won't make it to heaven, the only reason why you're going to go to hell is not because of what your supposed righteousness is, but because of what you're harboring in your heart against God. You love your darkness more than light. And that is the case with every human being. See, that they love their darkness more than light. Pick it up in verse 22 in the next video. So I'll see you then.